you think about it with Meghan Markle, there were lots of people that she could have learned from and developed from. As we told you before, the big reason when you think about it why Spotify decided to ditch the ex-royal was simply the fact that she wouldn't take direction. And the fact that executives have come out literally in the public domain and basically said, you know, they were talentless, they were grifters, they couldn't do it, even though they had all that wealth of talent, production assistants, researchers around them. You would have thought that Meghan and Harry may have embraced that, but they simply didn't. Hence the reason, of course, why the Spotify deal has now gone. I mean, worth millions. And as I said to you many times here on the show, there's a point in the world of celebrity where you're really hot. A case in point, for instance, recently is the likes of Kylie Minogue, a big famous pop singer over here across Europe and in parts of America. But, you know, she's had hot and cold moments. Very hot in the 80s, not so hot in the middle 90s, climbed back in the early noughties, climbed back again at this period with a new hit album, a couple of new singles. You know, there's peaks and troughs. Meghan and Harry had some very high peaks that they capitalized on and simply didn't deliver. We're talking, of course, Netflix, Penguin Random House, The Bench, and now Spotify. But according to a very good source, Meghan, if anything, is not necessarily the person that shrinks back without a fight. You see, as we saw with all of her interview techniques, it tended to really be about simply Meghan, didn't it? Talking about herself. It didn't matter what you'd done, she'd done it with knobs on. You know, the bottom line was she'd been there, dealt the same thing, terrible misogynies, all of that sort of stuff. That's where it got relatively interesting for people to just pick holes in. But now one person, some might say an ex-friend inside the British monarchy, Princess Eugenie, is proving to be very popular in the podcast world, as is her mother, the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson. They've both shown that if you get engaging guests, are willing to listen to the guests and do your research, people will tune in. Now, Princess Eugenie is back with a second series of a very successful podcast, this time around actually inviting the former British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Theresa May, to talk about her book, all about her time in office. It's called The Abuse of Power. Now, they became very good friends and have, remain good friends because Theresa May has helped with charitable events alongside Princess Eugenie. You get the picture. And what's interesting here is the fact that that is the big name. That will get a lot of traction. These were the sort of people that Meghan Markle should have reached out to rather than the non-entities, apart from Mariah Carey and Serena Williams, that she did. But guess what? According to a very well-placed source in the production side of Princess Eugenie, Meghan would consider, that's the word, consider the opportunity to come on board and have an interview. That's right, the return to the world of podcasting. Now, when you think about it, it's a very interesting debate, this, because look at the bigger picture. A lot of people would tune in, but of course you'd also get a lot of backlash. And one might suggest that Meghan is literally, slumming it by going on another successful podcast when she couldn't make her own go. No word as yet, even though I've reached out to my good contacts with Princess Eugenie as to what do they make of this offer. But this is a truly serious offer. You're hearing it first here on the show. And I think, as I say, it's a double-edged sword. It's explosive, but not necessarily the right move for Princess Eugenie. But isn't it strange to think that Meghan truly believes that we still need to hear more of her? And the only point now is anybody going to be willing to let her get the microphone one more time? They are allegedly friends. That remains to be seen. If this doesn't come through, she could be joining a long list of others. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.